Okay, this week your focus is on one of the three memoirs which you have been assigned. Some of you are reading Damon Tweedy's Black Man in a White Coat. Others are reading Teresa Brown's Critical Care, and then others of you are reading Atul Gawande's Complications. I mentioned that last simply because it's not exactly a memoir. It's a combination memoir and reflection more broadly on the field of surgery and the training of surgeons. Each of the books is excellent, and I'm sure whichever one you've been assigned that you will enjoy it. Be sure to pay attention to the reading guides I have provided for each of the books. Those guides offer some kind of brief summary or focus of each of the chapters in the books, and then a sort of a study question or questions for you to think about as you're reading. I hope that will help you to focus on what I regard as the essential components of each of the books. Be sure to notice the specific assignments related to each of the books. If you are reading Critical Care, you will simply read the first half this week. That's the introduction through the first 6 chapters. If you're reading Complications, you read the introduction and the first 3 chapters. If you're reading Black Man in a White Coat, you have a choice here. You're reading the introduction and chapters 1 and 2, and then read either chapter 3 or chapter 4. You don't have to read both. We have specific discussion board assignments related to each of the book. If you're reading Critical Care, notice that in her introduction she says she writes about one particular incident that she doesn't actually describe until chapter 6, but that she wrote about it simply in the hope that she could contain it, make it less all-consuming. And what I'm asking you first to think about and write about is how you see that illustrated in the entire book. That is to say, how she writes about particular incidents in a way to keep them from being all-consuming, whatever that might mean. And then also notice in chapter 2 she talks about the skill set needed to practice the art of nursing, and I'm asking you to reflect on how this writing she does might contribute to her developing that skill set she mentions. If you are reading Atul Gawande's Complications, notice that he says at the end of the introduction, "We have taken medicine to be more perfect than it is and less extraordinary than it can be." And I ask you to reflect on that. Has he convinced you in these 3 chapters that medicine is less perfect than you thought it was before you began reading? And do you find it more extraordinary? Precisely because, it is less than fully perfect. That is to say, do you see a relationship between the two? Does it seem more extraordinary precisely because it is less perfect? Now, another question you might address, and you don't necessarily have to if you focus on the previous question, but you might think about what implications do you see in all this for how physicians should be trained for their profession. If you're reading Tweedy's Black Man in a White Coat, I ask you to focus on 2 things and their relationship. First, he talks a lot about race-based health disparities. That has to do with the differences between black people's experience of illness and injury and white people's, and the reality that black people tend to do worse with similar illnesses, or to suffer particular illnesses more often and more deeply than white people do. And then he also talks about his own insecurities as a black man in a field dominated by white people. He writes, constantly hearing about the medical frailties of black people picked at the scab of my insecurity as a black man. So what did you learn? I'm asking you right about this. What did you learn about health disparities? Did it surprise you that he is so personally affected as a black physician in training by the reality of those racial health disparities? And do you think you would react differently if you were in his shoes? Okay, hope that is fun for you to think about and write about. Now, in terms of your responses to other people's discussion boards this week, I want you to comment on the posts of people who read books different from your own. Or at least, it says here, both of your posts should be different, but certainly at least one should be on a book, on the post about a book that you didn't read. You might also read another that wrote on the same book as you and comment on that. But be sure that at least one of your responses, if not both, is to posts about different books. And you should comment on what you came to understand about those books that you didn't necessarily read, and how well you understand their responses to the specific question they were asked in their discussion board prompt. That may be a little complicated, but and if it's not clear, please shoot me an email. Be aware, of course, that you have two other responsibilities this week in terms of written work on which you will be evaluated or assessed. You should complete step 4 of your creative writing project. That is to say, you should make revisions and share a final draft of your creative work. Those revisions based upon the comments I have made and the comments your classmates have made on your creative work. And then also by the end of the week, you should post your third reflective essay on the film Wit, if you are choosing to write about that and not using that as one of your opt-outs. Okay, I hope everything is clear about this week and that you will especially find reading these memoirs and reflections useful and insightful for you.